Hi, I am Vijay Kumar from the Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. I am from the Department of English. I am going to present a series of video lectures on written communication. In Module 1, I am going to throw light on the subtle nuances of argumentative writing. So let's just move to argumentative writing. An argumentative essay is very important for a professional. Now, an argumentative essay has various parts. Now, in this module, I will explain how to craft each part. So, we are going to build an argumentative essay block by block. So, an argumentative essay basically has 5 segments. The first segment is what you call the claim. And remember, the second segment is what they call as reasons. And the third part of your argumentative essay is what we call as data, presenting data. And the fourth part of your argumentative essay is counterclaim. And the next part is what we call as rebuttal. Now I will explain each and every part in detail. Now let us go to claim. Imagine that title on are virtual classrooms better than online classrooms is a topic given to you. You are asked to write an argumentative essay on which is better for 250 words. Now you will craft these various segments. The first thing is you will make a claim, like either you will speak for it or you will speak against it. So for instance, if you say that an online classroom is better than a face-to-face classroom, you will make that claim. Or else you will say that an online classroom is better. So you will state your claim in the first part of an essay. To which side of the argument are you in? Are you in favor of it or are you against it? So that is what we call as claim, and that is what you usually present in the first paragraph. And then in the second part of your argumentative essay, you will say the reasons, your logical reasons as to why you are in favor of it or why you are against it. For instance, if you are in favor of online, why you are in favor of online, or if you are in favor of face-to-face, why you are in favor of face-to-face. So you will perhaps present a few reasons, like you could say that the online classrooms are much better than face-to-face classrooms because of the following reasons. Reason 1, reason 2, like that you can present 2 or 3 reasons, and that is what is called as reason. So after you write the reasons, you will present data to support your claims, because whatever you say has to be evidence based. You have to quote what people said, you can present some statistical evidence, or you could just give an illustration. So you have to present a lot of data to support what you are saying. That is what is called as the supporting data or the proof of what you say. The next thing is what you call as a counterclaim. Now it is a typical lawyer's argument. Let us imagine there was a crime committed and John was at the scene of the crime. Now just because John was at the scene doesn't mean that he is a criminal. Now he could be accused, but there should be enough evidence to prove that he has committed a crime, or there should be enough evidence to state that he is innocent. So an argumentative essay is a kind of a typical lawyer's argument. So whatever you argue for, either you should be for it or you should be against it, and your arguments have to be really convincing and it should be evidence based. So let us move to counterclaim. A counterclaim is whenever you write an argumentative essay, you make a claim first and then you present reasons. Thirdly, you present data, and when you make a counterclaim, you should assume what will be the opposite views or what will be the contradictory opinions that people will talk about or give about your topic. So you present that as counterclaim. Perhaps you could say that I expect that people will give contrasting opinions to my argument. So I expect that these are the opinions that people will present in favor of or against my argument. So those opinions are, you state those opinions which you think will be against your opinion. So you present those opinions point by point in a paragraph, and that is what you call as counterclaim. The counterclaim, in simple words, is the opposite views to what you are saying. So present those opposite views. You can assume that these are the opposite views of my argument. And then the most important point is called the rebuttal. Rebuttal in crux encapsulates the essence of your convincing argument. So you have to give more reasons for your counterclaim. That is what rebuttal. Responding to the counterclaim is called as rebuttal. Giving more reasons and more data against the counterclaims is what is called as rebuttal. So your rebuttal should first of all acknowledge the counterclaim. You can't say, the counterclaims, whatever counterclaims are made, you should first acknowledge. Perhaps you could use words like, some people will say, opponents will argue that this is better. I have strong reasons to give my opinion, or those who disagree believe that face-to-face classrooms are better. However, I feel that online classrooms are better because. So you use this kind of language, and also you can quote some quotations from experts, what experts would have said, or maybe whatever data you have that can dispute your opinion, you can present those data. This is what is called as the rebuttal, and this is in essence the overall structure of an argumentative essay. So your paragraph should include a topical sentence, a strong reason for the topical sentence, you move on to evidence, and later you come out with a lot of explanations for your evidence. So when you say that this is my evidence, so where did you take the evidence from? Quote the evidence, acknowledge. When you say some quotation, what have people said, on what occasion, who said that, quote it, so that it gives more authenticity to your writing. It makes your writing more valid. And use a lot of transitional words whenever you move from one idea to the another. For example, when you have similar ideas to others, you can use words similarly or likewise, or in the same way he has made a comment. Or when you talk about time sequence, afterwards, next, consequently, subsequently, after that, you can use words like transitional words when you jump from one idea to another. Or you can use words of addition like as well as, furthermore, or in addition to, if you want to add an opinion to what you have already stated. Now, if you want to talk about illustrations, now to illustrate, for example, or you can say in this instance, so you could use language, this is called the language of illustration, or then you can use the language of cause and effect. In cause and effect, you could say therefore, because, due to, as a result, just because this happens, consequently, the effects will be. So this is what is called as the language of cause and effect. At times, we may be required to use words for contrast, especially when you present contrasting opinions. Like we say, this is my side of the argument, however. So you use words like however, use words like on the other hand, use words like unlike, conversely, at the same time, or you can use words like in spite of. And you either use words in transitional words. Importantly, you also use words of emphasis. Emphasis are words like especially, of course, certainly, in addition to, in particular, furthermore, also, and so on. So you should use a lot of transitional words that can make your essay look very lucid and more fluidity in your writing. So let's move on to the introduction part, or what you call as the right hook. So though you may focus on these subtle nuances and structuring, what is very important is a very good introduction. This is what you can call it as the right hook. Of course, the conclusion is also important as to what you call as the knockout. But more than the knockout, you need to start with the right hook. Your introductory passage could be a surprising fact, or you could present a statistics like around 90% of the people feel like, or it could be a rhetorical question. For instance, let us imagine that you are in favor of virtual classrooms and online classrooms, and your argument is against face-to-face classrooms. You could start like, how many of us would like to be confined into the four walls of a classroom and be bombarded by lecture since morning to evening? The next strategy could be an anecdote. You could perhaps present an interesting event that happened in your life, or you could present an example that's impressive about the particular topic, and that's what is called as an anecdotal evidence that could most importantly be based on your personal life. So this is how you present your introduction. Sometimes you could also present a neutral introduction, like virtual classrooms are increasingly become popular. At the same time, face-to-face classrooms also have the same kind of effect. But I would suggest that you don't fall on kind of a neutral stance. The reason why you shouldn't go for a neutral stance is because it's like hunting with the hunter and running with the rabbit. You can't do two things at the same time, can you? So it's better not to indulge in any kind of neutral arguments. So, and most importantly, in introduction, you need to specify details. Like you can say that more and more students are enrolling every year. In 2017, the ratio was 70%, and in 2018, it has climbed to 90%. Like this, you could show some statistical evidence, or you can say that this essay discusses. So these are some of the nitty-gritties of writing the introduction. Now, in the body, to write the body, as we discussed earlier, we can now focus on some strategies. What kind of strategies you can use to write an impressive content. Starting from, there are different kinds of strategies. Let me focus on strategy 1. This strategy is called as the problem solution strategy. So we all talk about problems. You could stand on any side of the argument. Either you could be for something or you could be against something. But whenever you come across problems, it is always suggested and it is always wise and sagacious to present some kind of solutions. So present solutions to the argument. These are the problems I enlisted and these would be the solutions. This approach is called as the problem solution approach. And let us move to the cause and effect approach. Now, cause and effect approach could be, these are the causes. For instance, overuse of technology or being in virtual classrooms could result in the following causes. People may become sluggish. Maybe though there is multimodal input, people will not be may not be interested to be rooted at one place all the time. So what could be the causes? What could be the effects of being at the same time for so long? What kind of medical repercussions you could face? So for everything you talk about cause and also talk about the effect. So the first approach is called as the problem solution approach, and the second approach is called as the cause and effect approach. Let us move on to the third approach. The third approach is called as the illustrative approach. Illustration is just giving examples. Moving on, the next approach is called as the pros and cons. Talking for and against, presenting the argument, looking at the arguments on both sides and balancing the argument and looking at which side of the balance is more and where there is evidence. So the final approach is called as the multifaceted approach. And using this approach for any given topic, you can approach a topic in a multi-dimensional way, and that is why this approach is called as the multifaceted approach. To remember the multifaceted approach, let us remember this acronym spelt SPELT. Assume that, let us take any topic. Let us imagine that a topic on the role of cinema on youth. This topic is given and you are asked to write an essay in 250 words. Now, to build up the body, to build up the leverage, you can use this acronym SPELT. The first S stands for approaching a topic from the sociological point of view. For example, movies. Because your topic is about the impact of cinema on youth, what could be the social impact? How are people either positively or negatively influenced by it? You can talk about those influences, the societal impact, sociological impact. And then P stands for political landscape, how movies influence the politics, the political landscape of youth. So you can talk about the political scenario or the kind of political impact that the movie is making. So that is how you approach a point politically. So SP. E stands for the economic dimension. Maybe some movies could be a box office hit, and who are the people who are benefited by it, and what is the kind of revenue and how it's fruitful for the government. And you can talk about various aspects when you talk about the economical aspect of every topic. So you approach a topic either sociologically, or you could approach a topic politically, or you could approach a topic economically. Then let us come to legally, L. L stands for approaching a topic legally, whether it is ethical or unethical, whether it is right or wrong, whether these movies are good for the society or they're bad for the society, or such movies, should they be encouraged or be discouraged? So what kind of impact it has? Though each one is interconnected, you can break it into different segments and talk about it. So, L stands for legal. As I said, legal is whether it is right or wrong, whether it is ethical or unethical, whether it is moral or immoral. And finally, T stands for technological aspect. Maybe in every field you can talk about the technological improvements, the developments that has left an indelible impression. So you could just talk about these. Remember this multidimensional approach to approach on any topic, and that multidimensional approach, let me rephrase, is called as SPELT. And S stands for approaching a topic from a sociological perspective, and P stands for approaching a topic from a political perspective, and E stands for approaching a topic from an economical perspective, and L stands for approaching a topic from the legal perspective, and T refers to approaching a topic from the technological perspective. So these are the perspectives of approaching a topic. So in this module, we have discussed about the subtle nuances, the strategies of developing an essay, and the overall framework. I've just given you an overall framework. To recap, provide necessary background information on the topic to start with, focus on organizations, focus on a lot of transitions. The transition words that I used, or probably you could just browse and check the transitional words for essay writing. You could find plenty of transitional phrases. Use those transitional phrases and let your writing be data-based, evidence-based. Provide a lot of evidence, and in short, incorporate logos, pathos, and ethos, which means your writing should apply to ethics, it should apply to emotion, and it should apply to logic. So if your essay has these kind of components, it will be a complete argumentative essay. So in this module, we have discussed about the nuances, the framework, and the overall structure of an argumentative essay. In our next module, we will focus on rubrics on how people will assess your writing. Thank you.